Yesterday I went through the big old task of migrating all of the current work that I'm aiming to do on RadSpider into Azure DevOps. So I now have all the tasks in that world. They're all estimated. I've got user stories, tasks, epics, features. You know the drill. We're there. The question now is, what do I do with my old backlog? So like in Asana, I had a really big, like detailed backlog of things that I kind of deliberately haven't done yet, but I know that I want to do. I've migrated all the things like all the bugs, but I've got like things like move configuration to whatever. Basically, all these things either need to stay here. I need to figure out how I'm going to use Asana because I want to keep using it for things that aren't development. But what it is good at is just like throwing tasks into, kind of like a scratch pad. I kind of feel like I need somewhere where I can just throw ideas into before they become finalized and put into Azure DevOps. So it's kind of like, I'm going to use it as a staging environment. But more importantly, what I need to figure out is what I'm doing outside of the world of development. So I kind of get in like spurts of other stuff, you know, like the blog on the website. I haven't really done that much recently, which isn't good at all. That's really not good actually. I haven't really done a lot of reaching out to potential clients, and I feel like I need to start upping that a little bit. But the thing is, I'm getting into an area of RadSpider development which is really exciting and I want to do it. But yeah, one of my biggest tasks for today is to figure out how I'm going to use Asana, but still get other work done. I think that's important. And I think I'm going to organise myself for next week to have a real push into trying to reach out to clients and connecting with people a little bit more. Oh gosh, hiccups. Also, I do this thing now where I put my clothes in my wardrobe from left to right, and I just take them from the left. I went through a big old patch of having nothing but polo shirts because they weren't very like interspliced, and I'm out of that patch. Oh god, it feels great. Interestingly, I have to solve an automation test problem for this. A little bit of work that I'm doing at the moment. So I'm hosting an entire microservice on an in-memory version of Mass Transit, and Mass Transit. Then what I basically do is I test it by publishing messages on the bus and then making sure that the microservice state is changing. I don't care what commands are being raised, I don't care what events are being done. I care that if I put this on the bus, the state changes. However, what if I'm putting something on the bus that isn't going to change the state because a separate application is going to be processing that command? So I now kind of need to, like what you would normally do is you'd mock out the bus, but I need the bus to put the message on in the first place, right? So I'm making myself a cup of tea and I'm going to build myself a send observer so that I can observe the messages that go on the bus. Specifically sends because they're commands and commands are often sent. Well, no, they're not. But by design, I don't care if an event is picked up by another service, I just care that it's sent. And a unit test would do that for me, so I don't need it. But in this case, to be fair, I could do all this with unit tests as well. But what's interesting about it is that I don't, what's the word? My automation tests are designed to make sure that like everything glues together properly, and obviously the unit tests are designed to make sure that extreme conditions work. So in this case, I'm making sure that if my test candidates are active and I raise a snapshot against it, the snapshot starts getting processed. I'm not covering in the automation tests, for now at least, because it's so much more complicated at automation test level than it is at unit test level, that the same process happens if you activate a pipeline when there are pending snapshots. And purely because the amount of like test cases where that could happen is significantly higher than the other way around. I'm being selective about what I actually do automate. And I mean, it's automatable, it's manageable, it's not impossible at all. It's just not easy to configure things like that. And because there's things like, oh, what happens if I raise it and it's in this scenario and this scenario, and they all take a long time to run. These are effectively smoke tests to make sure that I'm covering enough of the track to make sure that it all works, but I'm not aggressively testing every single thing because I don't have time for that, you know? I want the confidence. I want the confidence that it's there, but I still rely on unit tests for a lot of the grunt work. I don't do that for the API integration, but I do for the message bus integration because it's just a lot more. The API is a lot more like, do this, do that, do this. Is it done? Yeah. Whereas the message bus is like, fire this in there. I'm expecting 18 different things to trigger. You know, it's just way more costly to run because it's a lot more like, put a message on the bus. I need to wait a couple of seconds to make sure that this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. Like I put one message on and then 5 different things happen and I have to make sure that they all happen, you know? And that takes a lot longer than doing one API call and expecting one thing back, because of the difference is that I'm testing a workflow rather than testing an operation. So it's good fun. I'm enjoying it. I started to write a mass transit observer because I needed some extra logic around retries given certain messages were received. What was that? It was something to do with waiting for pull requests to have finished merging. I can't remember what it was. I paused work on it because I decided that I effectively didn't need it because the standard retries were enough. I forgot what that was. But yeah, this is one of those things that I've never written before. So I'm excited. This is also officially the first story I've picked up which I sized. I gave it a user story point. I created tasks and put estimate hours against them. So it's going to be interesting to see how close I get to that. I think it's a little bit more complicated than I first thought time-wise, but not. I think the user story points are about on. I think I'd call that a 3. But I think I was a bit generous with the amount of time it would take to cover all of the possibilities. I think I basically just went for one possibility, which is this happens, and then I was like, oh, but I should do that. So maybe I probably should raise more tasks for that, to be fair. We'll see how much time I've got. I've already had my first diversion from the plan. The thing is, this always happens when you plan things, is it very rarely goes to plan. So I planned out a couple of, so originally, this thing that I'm working on right now, which is getting my snapshots processed effectively, that was one story and it covered a microservice change in the analysis microservice and a entire Azure function. Then I split out the analysis service and the Azure function, and when I moved it over to Azure DevOps, I made 2 tasks, an automation test task and a task to do it. And now I've split it into 5 tasks, and it's just got bigger and bigger and bigger, because I didn't appreciate how complicated it was going to be, you know? So yeah, my first thought of it was like, oh yeah, so I can do this all in the Saga. And I'm like, oh no, but this doesn't make any sense, you know? But when I was thinking that out, when I was creating the tasks, I wasn't obviously thinking in that depth. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, creating these tasks ahead of time rather than just kind of having, I don't want to get set in the way that I work based on the tools that I'm using, you know? So I'm more than happy to kind of work the way I want to work and then just kind of let it figure it out around me. So I'm not going to always generate tasks and stuff. As long as I've got something I can register the code against, and it just so happens that in this scenario there's 4 or 5 different things I need to do, then it makes sense to link the code against or individual tasks rather than the user story itself. Just chatting shit, mate. It's lunchtime. Thinking after lunch I'm going to work on some other stuff for a little bit, since I've come to a reasonable breaking point, you know. Got an email this morning. It's cold. Right, I've just had. It's not actually cold. I've just had dinner. I've just had lunch, and I always get cold after dinner, as you know. I got an email this morning for someone trying to organise a meeting with me to discuss whether or not RadSpider can be. I'm not sure whether or not used for the development of their project or integrated into their project. I know vaguely what their project is because I met them in person. But they reached out and contacted me by my website, which is rather annoying because every now and again that email form like gets forwarded to my junk mail. And it's really irritating. I don't know how to stop it. Like, it's fine most of the time, but it just, every now and again, just pings across. God damn it. And I nearly missed it. I wouldn't have missed it because I would have seen it was in my junk had I logged into this portal. But I have to log into actual Office to see that. I wonder if I can change my settings. Guys, I've written some code and it's janky as fuck. like it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter for now how janky it may or may not be. Like, it's got the functionality to do what it needs to do. But it's so janky. Like, it's so ridiculously janky. I hate it. It's like... I'm just not proud of it, you know. Everything else I've written I'm like proud of, and this thing just feels like a mess. Like, from the get-go, I feel like the way this thing is written, the way it works is just fucked. I feel like I need to run this through someone else to be like, here's a thing. Maybe tomorrow I can rubber duck it with Laura and just figure out where I'm going wrong, and then I can make a like document if it makes sense to her. If I can't explain it to her, then it's done, you know? She's off tomorrow. She's got the day off tomorrow. If I can't explain it to her, then, like, I can't explain it to anyone. Maybe I'm thinking about it, like, too complicated. But it's this whole thing about pipelines. You can turn them on and off. You can have them up to date. You can have them up to date. When you create your snapshot, it freezes. Once you have an active pipeline, it freezes that candidate snapshot. But I don't like it. Either way, I think I'm done now. I think I'm, like, finished. But it's raining again, so no walk this evening. But I need to step away. I need to do something else is what I need to do. This thing is like consuming me now. And the more I think about it, the less it makes sense. And that's not a good place to be in, to be quite frank. Whenever I don't go for my walk, my like productivity just drops off a cliff. I think it's because I don't like have an effective break. I'm just thinking I'm gonna swap that because I'm gonna use a different sheet because that one is not as good. I think it's creased in a way that I don't like. Something I really need to get better at is improving how I spend my time that's not spent programming, you know? To be honest with you, I also think this is like the number of days I've gone without like going out and doing something different. I think that's also what's fucking me up right now. But but it's not good, man. It's not good. I'm gonna stop beating myself up about it. I'm gonna go play some Xbox and just try and reset, and then we'll see what we can do. Laura's really late back today because she's off tomorrow, so she's like finishing off work, I think. She's on her way now, so dinner's about to start. I'm annoyed at how... I'm annoyed at the fact that I can't use Asana for what I want to use it for, you know? I've got hiccups as well. It's just so much more intuitive to work. What I'm contemplating doing is... So next week I'm going to start running like a sprint. So the problem is, effectively, that like you just have one board. You just have like one board, and you can either view it in like a board or like a task list. And a task list makes sense in general. It makes sense, but you don't really get like separate things until it enters like an iteration, and then you can see a singular iteration. But there's no way of saying like these things here, put them into like the backlog and keep these on the real board. And I kind of want a separate backlog. Because then I can like look at it on the I can do all the other stuff I want to do with the things I want, and I don't end up cluttering everything. So the problem here is I've got things like these bugs that aren't, like I'm not going to do them anytime soon. They're just there. So I'm feeling like it's going to be likely that I keep things on the backlog in Asana and then migrate them over to here when we're like actively doing them. Like once they're refined, so you take them, you refine them, and then you create the tickets in here. And then at that point you remove them from Asana. That's what I'm thinking. But it's a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. I think it's because I only have one team is the thing. So I could create like a backlog team effectively, and then all of the items stay in that backlog. Maybe that's the best way to do it. Maybe I'll do that. Oh, god damn it, man. How exciting are videos of me complaining about tools? Yeah. The problem, what it is I don't want to put a load of things, I don't want to clutter my view of the work that I need to do with stuff that I know I'm not going to do for a long time, you know? When it becomes likely that it's going to be done in a reasonable time period, that's when I'll get another one, you know? That's when I'll start pumping stuff through and I'll start filling it up and it'll be fine then. If I use sprints, if sprints work out for me, then I'll be fine, in general. But if sprints don't work out for me, then I'm gonna have to figure out a different way. The problem is I'm used to Asana, and I configured Asana to be different, you know? And it just looks more cluttered. Because it's designed for bigger teams than just one, you know? I can only chip through like one thing at a time, so there's no point having multiple things on there if I'm not going to pick up one thing at a time, you know? So it seems silly migrating 100 things just to chip through the top 5, you know, at once. Whereas previously I had backlog, bang. I'm shocked, to be honest with you, that we don't have separate backlogs. And that you can't go, right, I'm going to view the backlog. I swear you used to be able to do that. It's driving me up the wall because I feel like I'm missing something. But I think what it was we had separate teams. We had a team, like that company team, and then there was Atlas, and then there was Telesto. God, that's a throwback. So I'm definitely not going to migrate everything over from the backlog. Definitely not yet, anyway. I could create a new team, go overcomplicate things, it's unnecessary, don't need to do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try next week to get used to sprints. I don't wanna do it this week because it's the end of the week, you know? So I'll start it from Monday to Sunday, then I get a proper idea of like how much work I can get done in a week. And if that doesn't work out for me, then I will just effectively just keep that backlog kind of like with enough stuff in it, if that makes sense. So just keep enough things in the backlog on the boards where you basically just kind of fill it as you go and use Asana as like which is kind of how I've been working anyway. I've just been creating them in Asana when I want them. And then I just continue to use Asana as a big old backlog and then migrate them as when I need them rather than all at once now. So I'm kind of glad I went in the order I went in. That way I don't clutter up DevOps until I have to, and then when I have to, at that point I can either carry on working the way I want to work or add in teams if I start building out teams. Yeah. Oh, god damn it, man, it's so annoying. It's annoying because it's the kind of thing that you can't stop thinking about because you want it like this and it's just not like that, so you got to think of a different way. Oh my days. But yeah, I figured out, I think I know how I'm going to do things now. And I might, yeah, cool. We've had a bit of a strange day today, ladies and gentlemen. Laura's had the day off. So because now I don't have holiday, we have no reason, or I'm trying to save money. We have no reason to use Laura's holiday. So she is using effectively just random days either side of university. So she's at uni at the weekend, so she book a Friday off. So she books a Friday off, so she can have either a chill out day or catch up on work and all that kind of shit. You know how it goes. So for that reason, I have been less productive today, but I'm kind of treating today like my weekend. So it's been really productive for a weekend day. because tomorrow Laura's out all day, and on Sunday Laura's out all day, so they can effectively be weekdays to me at the weekend. So I've kind of like done an old switcheroo. I was up early and I was working before Laura even woke up. Got a load of work done, finished off like one chunk, wrote some automation tests for the thing I'm about to write, and then I've kind of got a bit stuck on how to do some Mongo stuff. And what's annoying is I can picture something that we've done before at a job 2 jobs ago, and I can vaguely picture it. Like, it's really hazy, but I can vaguely picture what I want, and that's more detrimental because I know it's possible, but I can't figure out how to do it. And it's like querying a Mongo. Effectively, like, I have a document which has an array on it, and I want it to kick back the whole document, but only one item in the array list. And I can't figure out how to do it. And I'm trying to look now into how to flatten, like kind of flip it on its head. So I want this item out here and then add in fields from the other stuff. But it's super complicated. It's doing my absolute nuts in. It's one of them things where, like, every time I try and do it, I always get this kind of like block, and I always try and find a way around it. And I need to figure out how to do it. So, but yeah, otherwise we went out to the shops to buy some lunch. I also talked Laura through the thing I was talking about yesterday about whether or not my idea is well organised. I feel like it is. So my conclusion is it's just complicated, but it's as easy as it can be. And then I carried on doing some work. We just had dinner, we went out for a walk in the evening, and now Laura is trying out the bath. Since our new boiler, we can actually fill a bath now with hot water. Incredible. And I am going to carry on doing a little bit of work. What we're trying to do is we're going to watch Gogglebox and The Circle tonight, but it's the live show of The Circle, and it's trash. So what we're trying to do is watch, like, kind of start watching programs late so that we can fast forward through all the crap bits of The Circle. That's the plan of attack there. So, man, I can't figure it out. It's something to do with unwinds and projections. But, like, yeah, I could all do this in memory, but I feel like I should know it. That's the thing. That's the worst part about all of this. So I feel like I should know it, so I feel like I should figure it out. But it's something to do with unwinding, and then you flatten it down, and then you map it. But then there's an interface where you can do the input, the model, and then the input again, and it spits it out, like 3 generics. I can't find that interface. And knowing that is worse, because I know what I'm looking for. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed. Got a long weekend ahead of us, boys and girls, so buckle in. Get ready. I'll catch you later. Morning, gang. Just a quick note to say I slept on it. I remember where that interface came from. It's Dapper, not Mongo. That's why I can't find it. That's why it doesn't work anyway the way that I thought it would. Because I'm thinking of Dapper interface, not a Mongo one, where it lets you, where you use it to link multiple tables into one flattened object. Anyway, sorry. Catch you later. Your girl, Laura, isn't around this weekend, so that means your boy gets to just fucking chill out. We're having a banging weekend. It's going to be great. That's not true. Been working. I have spent like so much of my time working though that I've actively planned. I've booked Sean to play Xbox. Excuse me. There are some interesting characters walking down the street. I'm just going to go look at them. Also, this hood here, Laura really doesn't like that I wear this hood like over my shoulder. It's nice, it's comfortable. Just like 3 teenagers walking down the street. One of them has just been sick, I think. Weird. But they don't look drunk or anything. It almost looks like they've just been running. And then, you know, when you get sick. Bizarre. Anyway. Yeah, so I was up early this morning, not as early as I should have been. I did sleep past through my alarm because I was dreaming about fucking sagas again. I just dream about computers now, that's what I do. It's my life, it's over for me. It's too late, save yourselves. I was expecting a delivery today, so I was expecting a delivery that I was going to have to turn away because it was a delivery, quote unquote, that was actually coming to collect our TV and take it away and repair it. But since I reported it broken, they said that they were going to organise a time for someone to come and collect it and repair it, and they'll organise the repair for me, so they'll let me know like how long it'll be gone and all that shit, give me the details. During that time, between them telling me that they were going to contact me and now, let's say, they booked in a delivery for this morning without telling me, and it fixed itself. It seemed to be like a software issue, I guess, where it just suddenly started working again. Oh, and it was kind of like, it hasn't worked for like 3 months. Basically the entirety of the Chromecast functionality on it hasn't worked for 3 months. I ring them, 2 days later it works. And I'm like, sounds like a coincidence to me. It feels like you've done a software update over the air, you know? But anyway, so they booked in a delivery, so I was up early for them to come and deliver a box to put the TV in, and for me to tell them, actually, no, please don't take my TV. I want to cancel this, please. And then actually, they then contacted, I've tried to cancel the delivery. Ever since I found out they were going to do it, I've contacted them 4 or 5 times from every different, like, I've tweeted them, I've replied to the emails that they've been sending, because I've got like multiple channels this thing's been going through. And I'm like, can you leave me alone, please? Anyway, conveniently, as the time slot approached, I got an email saying that their delivery truck had broken down and they were going to have to reorganise, so they'll call me to rebook another one. I'm like, will you? Will you actually call me? I don't know. So please don't. I don't want you to come. Leave me alone. God damn it. Otherwise, I've been programming. I've been trying to wrap my head around Mongo stuff, right? I'm a big fan of Mongo. I like MongoDB. It's nice, quick. I like how it works and how it flows. I have, however, 2 things I don't like about it is the fact that it's basically all down to like the C# client you use to interact with it. The C# client is untestable, like you can't possibly unit test it without a real database, and you can't have an in-memory version of the database. I goddamn wish that they released an in-memory version. My lord, that would be the dream. I would fall, could you imagine? That would be something to get excited about. And the second thing is that like, it doesn't like, just locking the door, it doesn't like being type safe. So I'm trying to do these unwinds and these projections and stuff, and it just wants to go back to like a JSON object. And I don't want it to do that because I want it to be type safe. And like, one of the things I wanted to do was effectively I've got an object that's got metadata on it, and then I've got multiple effectively like snapshots against that object. And what I wanted to do was get the snapshot, an individual snapshot, and all of the metadata from the parent object. So that's what my plan was. That's what I wanted to do. It's a pain in the ass, couldn't really figure out how to do it. But what I can do is I can unwind it. Now, unwinding it is effectively like doing a, you know, if you like left join tables in SQL, where you query one table, you'd get all your results, and then you'd have an extra row for every different version in another table. Unwinding basically lets me take the array of snapshots and create an object of the top one with an object in place of the array, and it will give me like 5 objects instead of one object with an array of 5 things on it. It will give me 5 objects all with one thing. The problem is that that one thing is in the same name, so it's on the same parameter, but it's an object now, not a list of objects. So I have to create a typed object, or deal with that, create a typed object that has that field like that. Now, the problem is that I have to keep these 2 objects in sync. So if I add something to one of them and want it on the other one, I've got to add it to it. And I've got like a folder of like unwound objects, which I know people do this, but it just seems weird. And the thing is, you can't inherit. So what I wanted to do, what the dream was, I tried this yesterday, was inherit from the object that it really is and then just override the list field for a real one. It doesn't like that. You can't do that. So it's a pain in the ass. Luckily, effectively, that top object is like ID, object, the list. So it's kind of all right, kind of, but it's not ideal. It's really not ideal. I do wish they put some work into the C# drivers, but I totally appreciate how goddamn complicated they must be to build. So I just want it to be a bit more unit testable. Because the thing is, I have to spin this up to run it. Even my in-memory database tests won't check this. So I have to spin it up to make sure these queries work. And that is just such a pain in the ass, especially when it's not like a web query. This is like message buses. I'm going to have to spin it up anyway, but it's just irritating. It bugs me to no end. But yeah, that is like the bit where I'm like, God, I just wish it was just a bit better, you know? Just, please. Also, I've started watching Mindfield from Vsauce. They've like made all of the Mindfields, which are like YouTube Premium. They've made them free for a year, because obviously YouTube Premium bombed. It's fucking brilliant. Check it out. I really, really love these videos, but I really like Vsauce, so if you don't like Vsauce, then don't watch it. I feel like it's taken me longer to develop this thing than it should be. And I think it's because I'm like not 100% happy with the way that it's kind of working out. It kind of feels like the domain is, whoa, hello boy. It's a casual fucking McLaren sports car outside, you know, as you do, YOLO, swag. Yeah, I feel like I'm just not as happy with the way that it is. I feel like the domain should be doing a little bit more than what it's doing. It's odd, it is a bit odd. I'm trying to figure out, to be honest with you, if I've kind of balked it a little bit because I'm not doing it in the, I feel it's weird because it's a command, like it feels, the action I'm trying to do, which is basically put a command on the message bus, get data out of the database, put a message on the message bus, is like, sounds query-like, right? I feel like it should be a query. Like, it just feels odd that I'm doing a command. Oh, yeah. Fuck's sake. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, because I should be sending the message from the consumer, not the request handler in the domain. That was the whole problem. So effectively, the consumer queries the database. But should that live in the command? Yeah, it should, because it's always going to be triggered via the message bus. It's never going to be done by the API. So we'll lift it out. Okay, cool. Anyway, Sean is about to come free. We're going to play some Xbox, boys. God damn, man. Looking forward to a bit of human interaction. I mean, this is the thing, like, you always bully yourself saying that you should do more work more often. You know, and I should be doing something other than programming right now. And I'm not going to be. But you just gotta relax sometimes, you know? An absolute hoot playing Xbox with old Shawnee boy. I haven't played Xbox in a long ass time, especially not with other people. I've played a bit on my own. I should have done the washing today. It was sunnier earlier. Otherwise, like, the house is like kind of, it's cold, but it's like clammy. Like, it's quite sweaty, you know what I mean? I'm cold, so I want to like wrap up warm, but then I'm sweating. What's that all about? Bit of a big time jump there, ladies and gentlemen. We got back late last night from the cinema, so I just went to bed, effectively. I'm finding it really difficult to wake up in the morning. I don't think I'm sleeping enough, to be honest. It's because of the circle. I go to bed at like midnight, basically, every day, and I get up at 6 every day, so it's not working out. I'm just going to check on the washing. It's looking good, it's looking dry. AF, making the most of the slightest little bit of good weather to dry clothes. So I don't have to dry them inside and get damp. Yeah, so anyway, like I say, basically Laura came home. We just kind of chilled out. We went to Wagamama's for food with Beth and Ben, which was nice. It was annoying though, because like Ben's came out really early, and then everyone else's came out then together, like kind of when he'd already finished, which was kind of annoying. But then we went to go see Joker in the cinema, which was really good. Can recommend. It was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's like a really like dark, like how someone could turn into the Joker rather than a film about the Joker. That makes sense. Like the Joker, it don't go like Laura and everyone else kind of expected it to be a like Joker film, like with the Joker in it. But really the Joker wasn't really in it until like the last bit, if that makes any kind of sense, because it builds into him. But anyway, it was really good. So otherwise we got up, So we did that, came back, got up this morning. I drove Laura to uni this morning, done 2 washes and done the washing outside. And then otherwise, I've been working, I've been programming away. I'm trying to finish the bit of work that I'm currently working on so that I can start a new user story. So I don't have to go into the next sprint, which is going to start tomorrow, my first ever sprint. I don't want to start that sprint without, with a half done user story, effectively. And then once I've sorted that out, I'm going to work on something else. So, good times. But it's lunchtime, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm hungry. Guys, it works. I've just created a PR for that user story. Which is my first ever user story. Like official one with tasks and shit. It's exciting. I ran it through, obviously my automation tests run and pass. I ran through the operation as well, just in case the Mongo configuration didn't work. It didn't work because I was trying to pass in AutoMapper into projection. I thought that would just play, but it doesn't, so I've taken it out. No problem. So yeah, I've now got that bit all running. I've got it all the way up to the point where it fires the command off onto a queue that is going to be listened to via an Azure function, which is the next story. I've got to do the PR, so I've just got to roll through the PR now, which should give me lots of time before Laura gets back for me to cook some dinner. I'll start cooking dinner as soon as I finish this. Absolutely bossing it, boys. I'm quite chuffed with this. Having looking at the PR, it's quite a big chunk of work. It feels like it's taken me a long time. But the question now is, tomorrow when the next sprint starts, or the first sprint starts, how much work do I take on? That's exciting. This was 5 story points. And it was slightly bigger than I thought it would be, and it took me slightly longer than I thought it would be. So the question is, how much can I do in a week? Bearing in mind I've got some things on my calendar this week. I've got a meeting in town on Monday. Got a meeting, like a meetup style thing on Wednesday evening and Thursday morning. I've got lunch in town on Thursday as well. So I've only got Tuesday, Friday, full days running at programming. Apart from the weekend, obviously, but they're never 4 days. Oh boy. Gucci, we are 30% of the way through this feature. Living the dream. It's now time to start cooking. I probably should have come downstairs with the Nexus then. I could have watched something while I cooked. That would be clever. I'm thinking next week I'm going to pull in 6 story points next week. That's my plan. And then next week, the week after that, I think I'll take in 7. Whoa. I think next time I'm going to build the... see, I think I could probably do more as well. But I think I'm going to build the image. For my initial, so yeah, I have my base pipeline image. I need a base snapshot image. Build the base snapshot image. Then I'm going to update the snapshot with the snapshot image details. They're the 2 next stories, which are a PowerShell thing, and then also an Azure function, and then a PowerShell thing. So it's that they're 3 different things. That's the microservice itself, the one Azure function, another Azure function, which is basically just an event grid thing, a C# one, and a PowerShell function. So 2 different functions: PowerShell, C#, microservice. Get all of that done. I think I can do that in a week. Yeah. You'll be fine. We'll smash through that in a week. Even a short week, I can do that. We're on it. Exciting. It's weird because I feel like I'm transitioning into what is a good software company that's doing all the right things, getting the right processes, and getting the metrics in and the calculations ready for when I get bigger and when I need it more. But I need to do other things at the same time. At the end of the day, this doesn't make me any money, does it? Not yet. I need to this will make me money in the long run, but not the short run. I need to focus on the short run a little bit more. So this evening after dinner, we just Laura's had a really long day at university, so we just kind of had a chilled out watching TV. They're not really watching TV kind of evening, you know what I mean? It's just just put some trash on. Put fucking Suits on. Does anyone watch Suits, by the way? Because Suits, we're in the last series of Suits, and it's just trash. And I can't remember if it was always trash and I just didn't know at the beginning, or it's always been this trash, but it's so bad. But anyway, we're disappointed because Dragon's Den wasn't on, so we had to watch that instead. Otherwise, like, I've officially planned my next sprint, so my sprint is now up and running, ready to rock and roll. And I am looking into, it's one of them things where I feel like I'm going to breeze this sprint. But we'll see. You never really know. First one is a bit more. First one is designed to figure out what my velocity is. But the most important thing here is that I don't stop doing other things, / I start doing those other things again. I think that half the problem with me actually measuring all of this stuff is because I'm measuring it, it's the thing I'm focusing on, right? And there's a load of things that are harder to measure that I'm not doing. I'm trying to figure out a way of, because I know I've got to do it, I just don't prioritize it. So I'm trying to figure out a way of doing that. I'm going to go back to what I originally did when I first started. And that's like, I've got goals for what I want to hit. And I've got like targets that I need to hit. So I want to send out emails, at least like 6 new client emails every week. I feel like that might be a bit aggressive, but we'll try. So that's 2 Tuesday, 2 Wednesday, 2 Thursday. I'm going to try and do that every single week. I'm going to try and do my blog every other Thursday. And I'm going to try and do some other stuff as well. So I'm going to try and do like this segment thing where I change it around. I'm going to just try and balance and do some more time boxing. I think that's what I stopped time boxing. Well, also I'm kind of kicking myself for doing something that I agreed I'd do. Like last week, the week prior to this week was really unproductive because it was like Laura was off, we had the boiler. The week before that was even less productive because of a load of other stuff that kicked off. So I was like, I'm gonna have a week where I just sit down and write a load of shitload of code. I had that week and I'm beating myself up for having that week. I'm trying to figure out a way of doing it. So what I have is I obviously have my Azure DevOps board where I plan stuff. And then I have my other boards in Asana for like my backlog, a brief overview of what I've moved into Azure DevOps. I've then got like the clients that I'm approaching and all the data that I've got around that. And also like the odd task. The problem is, it's relatively easy to plan code because I'm used to that. But like, how do you plan in things that take a long time? So I have all that. I have my daily to-do list. I feel like I need like something I just need to be better at measuring it, and I should just do it on paper instead of trying to find an app that will do it for me. But yeah, I'm finding it difficult to like just plan things in, and I just need to time box more. So anyway, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm watching The Circle still, and it's on too late, man. For the time I wake up in the morning. I'm finding it really difficult to wake up in the morning. I need to get more sleep, so I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna end this video here as well because it's a bit wild, starting on Monday with a video this long. It's going to be an interesting week this week. We've got a lot of things going on outside of the home, which are going to eat into my time as well. I'm going to start ramping up, I think. I feel like, well, that's the whole reason I'm doing the sprints, is because I feel like I've started to meander a little bit, and that's not good enough. So I'm going to go to bed. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. Come back whenever I upload these videos. That's another thing I need to do. I need to just upload videos. I need to set time aside for this kind of stuff. God damn. Maybe I should do that over lunch instead of watching fucking The Office. I don't know. Anyway, see, I'm beating myself up for not working hard enough. But I don't think I am working hard enough. I'll catch you later.